Welcome back and welcome to the next project. And this project is installing a water maker. I brought a water maker kit direct from China. The brand is Green Planet. Well, everything's in the box, but it's not very well packed or protected. The brand of this water maker is Green Planet. It's cost me $2,750 US plus $100 US freight to Hong Kong. I brought the auto flushing, auto shut off kit. If you got the manual flushing kit, it comes in around $2,200 US. A comparable kit from a Western country is over $5,000 US. I'm going to install this in the boat and give you my honest feedback, what I think about buying direct from China. Control panel. Filters. Valves. Filter housing. High pressure pump. Okay. And this is a UV light. Separate flush tank. And it's full of fittings. Pressure line. Yep. That looks like everything. And nothing is damaged. Amazingly, nothing is damaged. On board the boat, it's now time to work out where everything's going to go. I'm going to put the water maker in the V-berth right there, and I'm going to put the shiny control panel next to the drawers. The membranes are going to be put on the forward side of the bulkhead inside the V-berth. The water tank is just forward of the compartment and has a watertight bulkhead. I'm going to make that a watertight bulkhead by taking out the water pickup hose. I'm going to create a second watertight bulkhead by sealing those two holes and cutting that knee so the membrane can go up high. The first hole's been cut. It's going to sit there. Maybe just a little bit over there. Equal each side. Looking good. We've got our membranes on the wall. The motor is going to, high pressure pump is going to sit underneath, but it's going to be on a platform and bring it up 100 millimeters. I have a, what do they call it? A cleaning tank, so you can flush tank. This flush tank's going to sit there, so where that mark is, it's going to sit down there. I've got to build a shelf for it to sit on. The plumbing will feed around okay. The low pressure pump is going to sit here. And I get the hoses and everything to feed through around, and they'll get to the is on this pump. This outlet has to go to here. This is a seawater in. This is a flush in. So trying to arrange everything so that it works nicely, and I wanted space so that I could still stand, crouch down and service this unit. So it's very small space, but I will be able to work here okay. I can change the filters okay, and there's no water dripping on. The electrical box, this box, will be sitting on the wall here. This blue hose will go, and the blue hose will be moved up high, run along up high, and then I'll actually put a hole through the top of the tank and a pickup down to the bottom of the water tank. Alright, the exercise tomorrow for me is to build all these blocks. I need to build a 100 mil high block here, some 100 mil high blocks underneath to lift this up, build a shelf, and glass everything in place. This morning in the workshop I've been making the beds for the motors and the shelf for the flush tank. These are the beds for the high pressure pump, angled to match the hull. I'll glass them into the boat, and then drill and tap to mount the motors. This is the block for the low pressure pump. Now I've raised everything up so it's 100 millimeters off the bottom of the boat, because I'm going to put a bilge pump in and an alarm so that if there's any water leaks or anything, then I can save the motors. I've pre-cut my glass, and on the shelf I've cut to that shape. Line that edge to there, put it in. The tabs to hold it in the boat will run here and out, so it'll run, and the same on the other side. So that allows me to screw it here. At this edge I've made it longer. This one will fold under, and then this one folds over top, and it finishes like that. Makes it neat and easier to do. For the low pressure pump, nice square piece, cuts, sits like that, folds down, folds over. Each corner does the same thing. It's a bit easier when you've two hands. I've made my beds. This will go down here, the other one, that one, and this shelf will sit there. Alright, now I've got the horrible job of repairing the surface, grinding away where I'm going to be glassing. I'll suit up for that. Well, yesterday was a busy day, glassing in the beds and the shelf. I've flow coated them, and now I've been working on this plate that sits down here. A tip for you: instead of using normal nuts, Nylock nuts. They're so much better, and I really don't want these things coming apart. The high pressure pump's now sitting on its beds. The low pressure pump is sitting where I want it. I've spent the last couple of days doing the plumbing side, running all the hoses, which is actually taking quite a bit of time, and several shopping trips. The tank is sitting on its shelf, and pretty much temporarily. I have to do a better job than this. The filters are mounted on the wall. The next job now is to start to work on the electrical hookup side. So this pile of wiring has to find a home. This unit is going to sit on the bulkhead here. So there's power feed in,
power feed for different items. There'll be a high pressure pump power feed, low pressure pump power feed, and then solenoids turn the feed lines on and off. Wow. TSD salinity test meter. And this unit, when the tank fills up, it turns off the whole unit. Somehow I've got to mount it inside my plastic tank. That's going to be a challenge in itself. Some of these things are quite challenging, and you have to basically just pick on one small thing and work your way through it, and then on to the next one. And I'll show you what it ends up looking like. I've connected up all the wiring. The high pressure pump is wired into the control box. The low pressure pump is wired into the control box. The salinity meter is wired in. And I've improved my method of holding the flush tank. This is a heavy duty battery box that I've had to widen a little bit and cut one corner off to be able to get it in and be able to get this tank out. There's a connection for the hose around the corner. Quite a good way of doing it, and it's very secure. Connecting up the high pressure hoses, I did come across a little bit of a issue that the factory had put on the wrong fitting here. The thread on the nipple didn't match the thread on the hose. So I contacted the factory and they very quickly sent me some new pieces. One part that's not installed yet, this is the float switch for high level water in the tank. So when the tank is being filled, this float switch is apparently supposed to sit like this, and then as the tank fills, you hear that ball move, that then shuts off the pumps. Now this is it's not practical for my situation, so I'm going to try and install a different float switch. I've just been testing this float switch with my multimeter, and it shows that when it's down, it's normally closed, so it's allowing power to flow through the wires. When it raises and the ball moves, then it opens the circuit and no power will flow. Now, a float switch in your boat is the other way around. When the arm is down, there is no power flow. When the water rises and the float goes up, the circuit closes and allows power to flow. Now this won't work, it's the opposite of this. But I'm wondering whether I can turn it over, mount it inside my tank to the top of the tank, so that when the water rises, the float switch goes up and switches it off. I've got to do a little bit more testing in the sink, make sure that will actually work, and this is the system I think I'll be using. Yeah, look at that. It triggers the off, and when the water level would be 1.25 inches, 40 millimeters above away from the top of the tank. That's perfect. I think I'll just add a couple more holes here to allow the water to flow in and out a bit easier, and install this in the tank. Yes, about 10 millimeters thick. time with 5200. This is the raw water in. It goes through the low pressure pump. The low pressure pump pushes it through the filters. From the filters, it then goes around and into the high pressure pump. The high pressure pump then pumps it and puts it into the membranes. It passes through the membranes, through this one and up at the other end, back out through this one, and that goes to control panel. From the control panel, it flows into the bottom of this pressure valve and then out overboard. If you wind the pressure up, then you decrease the flow through that is escaping to the seawater and increases the pressure inside the membranes. As the pressure inside the membranes increases to such a stage that it can push water through the membranes, then the water that's passed through the membranes comes through this white tube, and it goes through the white tube, fills up the flush tank, and the white tube then goes round back to the control panel. The white tube enters in the bottom of here, and you see the flow through the white tube. From here it then goes to the tank to fill the tank. Now that's the very basic procedure of how the osmosis works. Now I'll show you the actual startup procedure. This first step is to turn on the raw water flow. Next step is to turn on the 220 power supply to the water maker. Next step is to make sure the pressure valve is all the way to the left. On the control panel, we have the power showing in, and I press the start button. It runs through here, operation B. It starts the low pressure pump. Feeding through. Here has a low pressure switch. As say when there is sufficient pressure, then it will start up the big compressor. And it's got a countdown here telling me when that will happen. Really noisy from here. There's a countdown till it turns the high pressure pump on. High pressure pump's running, and then it starts to read salinity. High pressure pump's running. Come back here and rotate at the moment. All the flow is going overboard. By restricting the flow, it then forces it to go through the membrane. And what goes through the membrane is pure water. Take this around to 6. And this is fresh water now flowing. It's flowing 15 gallons per hour. At the moment, a lot of the flow will be going into the tank. And once this tank's full, the float valve shuts it off, and then it flows into the main tank. Salinity reading is 387 and going down.
tucked up under here I have a valve, tap and a tube. This tube I can put into bottles by turning the tap on. We then get flow. I can fill up our drinking bottles. At the moment it's showing a flow of 15 gallons per hour. That's because it's filling the flush tank, so and the flush tank water does not come through here. Once the flush tank is full, then this will jump up to 25 gallons per hour. Salinity now down at 157. My flush tank is just about full and will switch off shortly. That's not bad. See, it jumps up when I talk. Wow. When I put all the mattress and everything back on top and close this up, it'll be a lot quieter. And I'm going to move the start button to here so that it becomes a lot more automated. I'm going to watch this. We just about got that 5 litres filled up. And the tank float switch works very well. It shuts the whole unit off when the tank is at 93%. Flush tank is full. It's shut off. I'm filling this bottle here, and you can see the flow is now 25 gallons per hour. Now we come to one of the critical things, is how much power is this consuming. It's a 230 volt system running through my inverter and off the batteries, off my lithium batteries. The water maker is consuming 1,380 watts to make 25 gallons per hour. That's good. Can run comfortably like this for a few hours. It takes an hour and a half to fill a tank. I've been running the water maker for a few weeks now, and in the meantime I've moved the control. It's time to run through this kit that I bought from China, direct from the manufacturer. The first issue I had was with the packaging of the delivery crate. There was no real protection inside the crate and items could move around. Fortunately, I was very lucky that nothing was damaged. The second item that came across was the low pressure hoses were basically just garden hose. So I changed them for clear spiral wound, which will last a lot longer. The next issue I came across was the high pressure hoses could not connect onto the high pressure pump because the fitting had the wrong thread. Now I contacted the factory and they sent me the correct fittings. The next issue was the high pressure hoses have a washer inside the connection. They supplied the incorrect size of washer. So I could not get the hoses to initially seal. I went to a local hardware shop and I brought 10 washers for $1. Positives with this kit is the price. I paid $2,750 US, where from a Western supplier this kit would have cost over $5,000 US. The parts supplied in the kit, the pump, the low pressure pump, the filters and everything are identical to what you would get from a Western supplier. I am getting a good supply of water. It's producing 25 gallons per hour as advertised. The high pressure pump is rated at 1500 watts. The low pressure pump is 300 watts. It's actually only using 1380 watts. That's very good. And that's a bonus actually. Now, would I buy this kit again? Would I go direct to a Chinese supplier? Yes. The answer is yes. I am very happy with this kit, and even the little issues I've had, just minor hiccups. So yes, I do recommend going direct to Chinese supplier and getting a good kit. For your interest, here's the actual quotation that was sent to me. Thank you for watching this video, and please hit the subscribe button and have a look at these videos. Thank you.